Hello everybody, it's me, your good friend Sparky, and welcome back to the Kirby's Dreamland slash Spring Breeze mini project. Taking a brief look through the very first Kirby game, and what is more or less its remake from the Kirby Super Star game for Super Nintendo. And sort of looking at the differences between them. As far as this particular stage is concerned, I guess there's not really too many differences that are super notable between this stage and its Superstar counterpart, in comparison at least to last time, where they kind of merged two stages together for Kirby Superstar. I guess the main difference is that this would be stage number 4 in this game, and in Kirby Superstar it's stage number 3. And other than that, though, there's not too many huge differences between them. You know, they're both the same stage, they're both kind of similarly themed with a lot of similar enemies. Though, speaking of the enemies, that's one unique thing that we can actually talk about Kirby's Dream Land, is that there's a lot of familiar faces, like Scarfy here. If you try to suck him up, he explodes in your face. And Bronto Burt flying around, and Waddle Dees, of course. There's a lot of Kirby staples that started here and then proceeded to appear many times over in other Kirby games, much like Sir Kibble, who just chopped us in half. But there's also, like, a lot of really unique enemies in this game that do not appear in the Superstar version, and really don't appear much anywhere else in other Kirby games. Like these guys, flying around with the sunglasses and whatnot. I really couldn't tell you their names in a lot of cases, but I noticed that more and more as my little romp through Kirby's Dream Land went on. There were just a lot of unique enemies that I didn't see anywhere else in other Kirby games. Like that guy over there, these guys flying around that is like squishing, and they got little horns and they're weird looking. And yeah, this guy who's got his tongue sticking out and he's kind of bouncing between platforms. I don't know what any of them are called, but none of them really appear, to the best of my knowledge, in later Kirby games, like, at all. Unless I'm forgetting something rather obscure. But, most of them definitely don't appear in the Kirby Superstar version of the game, at the very least. But, yeah, it's just part of more of the kind of uniqueness of this very first Kirby game. You sort of appreciate how different it is in comparison to most of the other games that came after it, where there's no copy abilities or anything like that, and it's got a lot of these weird different enemies. But speaking of enemies that are not different, enemies that are actually kind of familiar, he took us out pretty quickly because we were low on health. This is Kracko Jr., our mid-boss, who we have to try and pelt with Waddle Doos that he drops from his eyeball. His person, I guess. As long as you kind of stick to the corner over there, you're pretty much safe from anything he can do to you. It took me a short bit to remember that was the safe zone over there. But I mean, just gotta avoid the Waddle Doo beams and try and shoot Kracko Jr. out of the sky there. But he is not defeated. He definitely took off just then, into the distance. And now we're in space. Or at least we're close to space. And we have a mint leaf to let us fly around and shoot air puffs. Unlike in the Kabula fight, though, if you do take damage while using this mint leaf, you do lose its power. I forget if it's, like, actually time limited otherwise, but they want you to kind of, go through there and take out all the blocks and get the health power-ups and things like that. But I got hit by a Gordo, and I ended up losing it. But that's fine. It's okay. We don't need it. We're all good. We're moving on. We're in space, I guess. We got super spicy curry now. So, there's that. And there's a little star shower going on right now. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nifty? Also, random holes in the platforms that we have to be careful of not to slip through, because if you fall into the abyss below, Kirby does lose a life. Oh yeah. This is a cool level. I like the gradual going up from the clouds into the stratosphere and up towards, like, a space area, I guess. And also, don't forget to enter the moon. If you enter the moon, you get to get a lot of goodies. I think it's kind of, I'm not sure if it's like a tradition or how common it really is, but I know there are several Kirby games after this where if you enter the moon, you do end up finding some kind of bonus. There's more than one, at the very least. I couldn't really say how many off the top of my head. But enough about that, I suppose, because we're moving on to the boss of this level, which is, of course, Kracko. Kracko is one of the sort of definitive Kirby boss enemies that you fight alongside Wispy Woods and things like that. Again, if you kind of stick to the corner, he can't really hit you when he does his, like, swooping attack. Other than that, you really just kind of want to stay away from him so he doesn't trap you with his lightning, I guess it is? Just wait for the enemies to drop, avoid his swoop downs, and spit them back out at him. And you're all good. And now dancing. Dancing is important, you see. And, well, it's time to move on to the Super Nintendo version of Bubbly Clouds. Though, it does take the sort of stage intro animation from Castle Lololo instead of the one that was in Kirby's Dreamland, with all of the Kirbys falling out of the clouds. Still, though, it is definitely, most certainly, Bubbly Clouds. And it's definitely got a lot more different enemies in it, and none of those, like, weird, unique ones that I was talking about. More of the standard Kirby fare that we're more familiar with, I suppose. And you do make your way to space much quicker in this particular version. There's no little cloud maze to get through, we're just up in the atmosphere at this point. And, well, I guess it goes back to the clouds. Weird, but okay. We're fighting Kracko Jr. in this version. He performs pretty similarly, but you can no longer really hide in the corner. It's more about trying to get around his swooping attacks, which is harder to do than you would really think. I suppose you could hide behind him, but he only goes down in 2 hits, so it doesn't really matter too much, I guess. Now, I guess this is like the same area as Kirby's Dream Land. I just kind of forgot the order of things when we're not really in space yet, I guess. We were for a second, but now we're not. This is just the room full of blocks and things like that. Also, these weird flower things that try to grab you, which are slightly unsettling with their smile. Now we're in space. Okay. Yeah, we were in space, and then we weren't in space, and now we're in space again. And yes, bears do rain from the sky in space. I thought you should know. Kirby Super Star is mean like that, where they really like throwing things at you as you enter rooms and from off-screen. But good news is, you can still enter the moon. You just push up, you enter it like it's a door, and you get to fly through the air and collect all of this food that's kind of hanging around. Do I really need to, considering my health is full? No. But I did get a 1-up, and that's pretty neat. It is pretty neat when you get 1-ups, I definitely say. Oh yeah, just little secrets like that. Little hidden rooms and things like that. It's always a good time with Kirby. The fun Easter eggs that, if you know, you get to share. Uniquely, down at the end of things here is Bonkers, who we do not have an invincibility candy to immediately destroy with. But we do get to bring on these sleepy enemies and continually respawn them in order to take Bonkers out with them. And, well, what do you know? It's time to fight Kracko. Again, he's fairly similar to his Dreamland counterpart, where you kind of want to just stay on the opposite side of the room from him, and you have to be careful about him swooping across the screen. In this game, he does have that kind of rain attack that he uses on you, and lightning and things like that. But much like other Kirby Dreamland bosses, he goes down much easier in this game. So, that's going to be it for right now. Thank you very much for watching. This is your good friend Sparky signing off.